Hey friends, what up? Drex here from Drex Factor Poi, sharing with you the love of poi spinning and flow arts to benefit your body and brain. Today I wanted to take you through some stuff that on the surface of it seems pretty simple, but that I actually think is more complicated than we give it credit for, which is just moving around in together same with our two hands, whether this be anti-spin or whether it be in extensions, in-spin, etc. I think finding the ways of getting through this is actually a deceptively difficult process, and I'd like to take you through it. But first, before we do that, I do want to give a quick shout out to the friends of the channel. Big thanks to Dark Monk, Fire Mecca, Flow Fests, Flow Toys, Juggling Calling, Pyroterra Light Toys, Spinballs, and Ultrapoi for helping to make the videos on this channel possible. You can learn more about all these amazing businesses and what they're doing to support flow artists like yourself by checking out the links that I've got down in the description of this video. And special thanks to non-business friends of the channel, Johnny Howard, Lain Mochinsky, and Pekha Pekkonen. Thank you all so very much for your support for my work and my mission. Cool. So this actually came up very recently in my live stream classes. I've been teaching timing and direction to my students, and I really realized that timing and direction really is something that is not nearly as intuitive as we think it is for moving our bodies around. So I kind of wanted to start with Together Same, because I think it's deceptively hard for people to wrap their heads around what's going on here, but more specifically, there are some things we can do with our body mechanics that make this so much easier for us. Now, in most cases, when people perform Together Same for the first time, I'm willing to bet that they're just moving their hands around in circles directly in front of them like so. And you'll notice that as I'm doing this, I'm keeping my shoulders square to the camera, yeah? Really what's happening here is that my shoulders are basically responsible for all the movement here. So I'm reaching across, up, out, and back down, across, up, out, and back down as I'm moving my hands around Together Same. Now, you'll notice as I'm doing this, when I move over to either side, there's a pretty large gap between my hands here. And, sometimes this is actually kind of useful, if say, you want to do something like switching into an anti-brid when you get to either side, you kind of already have a leg up on changing the alignment of the poi in your hands. But very frequently, that's not the intention there at all. So, do we have a different option here? Well, yes, as it turns out, we do. Now, I want you to take a quick look at how I perform Together Same versus the way I just demonstrated it for you, where this is how I demonstrated it originally, and this is how I usually do Together Same. There's a very, very subtle difference. Now, granted, there's still that little bit of gap between my hands as I'm going around, but it's a much smaller gap than if I were doing it this way. Why is that? If I keep my shoulders square to the camera, it means that when I'm reaching to either side, there has to be at least a shoulders width difference between the positions of my hands, because after all, one of my arms is not significantly longer than the other one. So you see at least a shoulders width difference between the position of the two hands on either side of your body. How can we fix this? Well, by shortening up the distance between our shoulders on either side, by turning our upper bodies into either side. So if instead I think of this as being I'm twisting my upper body back and forth as I'm going around, then all of a sudden I have access to this alignment right here where my hands are much closer together, but I still have those middle positions there where my shoulders are square to the camera. It's hard to tell that I'm doing this because I've gotten pretty good at just isolating my head on top of it. So, as I'm performing this, it doesn't look like I'm doing anything that much significantly different from when I'm doing this, right? It's only a difference of if I'm moving my upper body with my hands going around. And to be perfectly frank with you, I think that this is actually better for your shoulders too. Let me show you why. As you're reaching back and forth like this, you're engaging a lot of your pectoral muscles. You're creating a really, really closed space here whenever you're reaching across your body. Whereas when you're turning your shoulders with it, essentially all you're doing is you're keeping your arms square with your shoulders the entire way going around. You just happen to be changing which direction your shoulders are square to as you're doing so. So the easy way to practice this is honestly just to start with your hands at your hips, bring them up next to your ears and back down. And you'll notice as I'm doing this, I'm putting a lot of effort into making sure that I'm not shrugging my shoulders as my arms go up. This is one of those things that can lead to injuries and is not good for you, and also it just doesn't create as pleasing a line. Like if I'm shrugging my shoulders to reach my arms up versus if I let my shoulders relax and just take my natural range of motion here, you notice how it opens up a lot of negative space between my ears and my arms? That is something that I personally think is a much more pleasing line that can be done here. So practice sweeping your arms up and sweeping your arms down. Your hands should always be in front of you. Never a moment when they should go behind your head like that. Like you should never have a moment where you're reaching back behind your shoulders, because that's how you get them injured. Instead, keep your hands in front of you as you move your hands up and down, yeah? So, step 2 of this, I'm going to turn my entire body, well, not my entire body, but my upper body, over to my left here, and I'm going to start with my hands at my hips and sweep them all the way up towards my ears. I'm now going to turn my entire upper body over to the right and drop them back down, or I guess sweep them back down towards my hips. Turn my upper body to the left, swing my arms up near my ears, turn all the way over to the right, swing them all the way down next to my hips. Again, to the left, swing them up to your ears, to the right, swing them down to your hips. And as you practice this, work to make that turn to either side happen seamlessly and quickly, yeah? Like, if you'll notice, there's never a point where I'm not moving my shoulders into either position here. And then, you know, the kind of icing to stick on the top of the cake then is just keeping my head isolated, looking towards the camera as my shoulders are moving back and forth and creating this beautiful line. One of the reasons that this is really great is that when it comes time to do things like flowers, especially in-spin and anti-spin flowers, it's really helpful to have this in-between space where the poi can reach between your arms. If you flatten them up against your body like this, it gets way harder to make the alignment work. Whereas if I'm shifting my shoulders here, I've created this kind of buzzsaw plane place where I can stick one of the poi as I'm moving around here. And then just as I go from side to side, I'm switching which hand is stuck in that buzzsaw plane. And that is part of how I maintain that line going around, and I also maintain enough clearance for the poi to be able to move past each other without hitting each other, yeah? I will show you that from the side here. Basically what I'm looking to do as I'm moving my upper body around, trying not to hit the things that I have mounted to the ceiling, is that I can then use that space between my arms to shift the poi back and forth in front of me. And in theory then, I can create really beautiful flowers that move my hands around in such a fashion that they are staying as close together as they possibly can on either side of me, while also creating that lovely little space in between them that I can use for my flowers, whether they be anti-spin or in-spin, as I'm going around. And it all comes down to just sweeping your arms up and down as your upper body moves around. And again, I swear this is better for your shoulders in the long run, and it creates a prettier alignment too. You create much better lines this way. So yeah, that's how I would recommend that you play around in Together Same as you're working on your flowers. Yes? Cool. So if you'd like to get on board with those live stream classes that I am teaching, you can do so by heading on over to crowdcast.io/DirectsFactorPoi. We are currently in the middle of doing my third of what are likely to be 9 units. So please come join us. All of the lessons are recorded, so you can jump in whenever you would like to and catch up with everybody who's already on board. Yeah? Awesome. And of course, if you dug this video, please make sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe to help other people find it and to help my channel grow, yeah? This video would not be possible if it were not for the kind support of all of these lovely people right here. These are my Flow patrons over on Patreon, and they, along with the people listed down in the description, help to make this video and all the videos on this channel possible. Thank you all so very much for your support, for me and my mission. And if y'all out there watching right now are interested in signing up to support my work but are not currently supporters, you can do that by heading on over to patreon.com/DrexFactorPoi and signing up. You can do that at the link either down in the description or the card that just popped up if you're watching this video on YouTube. There you can get access to a whole host of awesome rewards, and even better, you will be helping me out in my mission to bring poi spinning and flow arts to the whole wide world and helping people connect with their brains and their bodies as creative people. So go check that out, please, and thank you. Now, if you'd like to check out more tutorials in this series, or I guess these are really lessons, I will go ahead and include a link to a playlist of them down in the description, as well as up here on screen if you're watching this video on YouTube. Also, the YouTube algorithm thinks that you're probably going to like this top video here based upon your past viewing habits, so maybe give that a shot as well. Thank you all so much for watching. Make sure to get out and flow this week, and I'll see you with another video real soon. Peace.